I'm Danny, and this is the Scream Princess podcast. Hello there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Scream Princess podcast. And I'm joined today by the boys from Alone in the Dark. Is it 50 years of slasher movies?
No, it's over a century now.
It's over a century now. God, we're going to have a lot to talk about. So I've got Phil and Hadyn, who, well, we met at, I think it must have been Horror on Sea many, many moons ago. And we've had lots of guests here actually from Horror on Sea. But in the whole time I've known you both, you have been in the process of writing this book, and it's finally finished.
Well, I think it was a bit of a Freudian slip. You saying 50 years, but it feels like 50 years, to be fair, since we started it.
Yeah, it feels like that. Yeah. It was actually 2013 we started it.
Was it?
Yeah.
So almost 10 years.
Yeah, it was Phil's idea, and
what year are we in? Over 10 years.
Yeah.
Yes, 2025. Yeah.
Oh dear. But yeah, he's finally finished, and hopefully it's going to be published soon. So
exciting stuff. So
we're tweaking some bits at the moment, still getting some input from people, but that's where we are at the moment.
That's really exciting. Do you feel like a sense of relief that you're done?
Yes. After watching so many bad slasher films, and it's nice. It was really nice to have a break, but still one. Yeah, go on.
No, go on, Hank. Sorry, mate.
No, I was going to say you still get new ones coming out like Half Size and things like that in the cinema, and so
what did you think of that? I've had other people chat about that. I actually really liked it.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, and a nice balance. It felt like a rom-com with with slasher elements, and
my boyfriend didn't like it. He wasn't a fan, but I thought it really reminded me of those films from the 90s, like late 90s, the kind of era that I love. It was a bit kind of throwback, I thought.
Yeah. I mean, I was picking holes in it, but that's just me. But I think you do. I definitely tend to pick holes in the sort of bigger budget ones more. If you're watching a film that someone's made on their phone, it's a bit different. But it was good though.
I mean, in the start of the book, we make a statement that the slasher film was possibly the most hated and reviled and looked down genre ever. And some said it's even lower than pornography. You know what I mean? And it's like it's crazy, especially as we love. We love all films. Don't get us wrong, but horror and slashers are obviously our bag, baby.
Yeah.
And there's so many subgenres within horror, but slasher has always been my favorite. And I don't know whether it's because that was kind of the first films that really got me into watching horror. And it's that kind of era of the late 90s, early noughties that, I started watching horror properly. But I love slasher. I love a jump scare. Like, I have no issue with a jump scare. I know some people aren't fans. They think it.
No. If they're done well, then 100%. Yeah. I mean, some films now it's just like jump scare, and it's like okay. But when it takes you by surprise, they're the best ones, especially in new films, I think. But,
especially with additional music cue that comes, it's going to come. That sting comes. You're like, whatever. Yeah, it's been done. But obviously, we go back to 1922. That's where we started the book from, and taking it from there.
Was it always going to be 100 years then?
No, because it's taken us 12 years to get it done. But
originally it was 8 years, wasn't it? And then obviously the time it's taken, we've had to extend it. New films come out, and as we're going through.
Then we found older films as well, and it's like it's been brilliant.
How many films have you got in that room? I'm just looking at your backdrop. Yeah, like
I think I've got nearly 11,000.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I know. this lot over this way, I don't think I'm going to be able to watch in my lifetime now. So,
Have you not watched all of those ones?
A lot of them I've seen before, and there's a lot up the top that I've never seen. But it's if I get I like that film, I'll get it on Blu-ray. I just put it on the shelf, and it sits there for like 5 years before I watch it.
It's there. And Phil, you've got a room full of toys behind you.
Yeah, I'm in the evil shed, we call it, Slasher HQ. This is where it's like a
Evil
screening room as
shed.
well. Yeah, yeah. So we've got a screening
Oh my
room. So we've
God.
got a screen there that comes down. We used to sit in here.
Yeah.
1 month every Friday, we'd smash out 10 a.m. till 2 in the morning and just go through slashers that we think are slashers. And don't forget, we may have watched 3,500 slasher films, but probably 5,000 films to bring them down, because
easily, yeah.
some are not slasher films, and you're like, well, no, that wasn't one.
Right.
It was sold. Yeah. It sold as one, but it wasn't. It's like, that's a bit of a waste
How
of
much
time.
beer was drunk in that time?
A lot.
Far too much.
And bourbon.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of jelly,
and
a lot of jelly sweets, a lot of Haribo.
Yeah,
a lot of Haribo. No pizza. You didn't order pizza.
Oh, everything. Yeah, we just all sorts
you
of stuff.
You could have had
like
your book sponsored by Domino's or something. Papa John's. I'm more of a Papa John's fan myself than Domino's. Yeah. So I'm going to put this question out, and then obviously you can both answer. Yeah. When did you first get into watching horror? Can you remember the first horror film you ever watched?
I can't. Don't know. I obviously, being of a certain age, used to watch all the Hammer and the double bills on BBC Two and the Universal films and stuff like that. But obviously always been into slashers and stuff like that. And I can't remember the first one I saw, but it would have definitely been something like Hammer or Universal on BBC or ITV or something like that.
Yeah, I think same for me also. I remember having a black and white TV back in the old days, and it was like an Anglia horse spinning round before they showed what was it, Circus of Horror, Vampire Circus and stuff like that. And then I stayed at my nan's and we'd watch Murder Mystery Night on ITV, Dempsey Makepeace before that, and then whatever film was on, she didn't mind me watching it, so it was cool.
Yeah.
Aww. Did your nan not mind watching a horror then?
No, she didn't care at all. We'll be up to 1 o'clock watching all this rubbish.
Watching horror films.
Well, weirdly enough, my nan got me into horror as well, because she used to come down from up north, babysitters, and we used to go to Mr. Video, and she'd be like, "Oh, let's get a horror film out." And my mum and dad used to go out, and she used to babysit me and my brother, and we used to watch horror films. And I always remember her saying, "Oh, I want to see that house by the cemetery. That looks good." And obviously at the time I didn't know what that was, but years later it's like, I can't imagine my nan watching Lucio Fulci, but yeah, weird.
Well, did you have real knitting nanas though? Did they wear the pearls and the twin sets? Because my nanas looked very much like Shreddy's nanas, always knitting with the rollers in her hair. So I just can't imagine that and the horror.
No, my nan was always smoking her head off and drinking Guinness all the time. But
okay.
Other than that, my name very similar. Yeah. She has fake fur coats in her wardrobe and gloves and the smoking things. Back in the day when she used to go to France and all this kind of stuff, until my granddad took all the money and pegged it. But there you go.
You had exciting nanas.
Yeah. But Hayden's probably bored of this story. I remember I was 7 or 8 and I was staying with my nan. It could have been New Year's. I think it was January, because I've done some research on it, and I was watching a film called The Reincarnation of Peter Proud, and that is Margot Kidder is stark as boobs.
This is where he's gets it from after all these years.
Yeah, but she was full frontal.
Never lost for words.
No, she was full frontal in a load of scenes, and that was me and my nan watching it, and it was we finished the film. Do you want hot whiskey and milk for bed? Yeah, go on in. And that was that.
Whiskey and milk?
Yeah, old days, old school, yeah. That's why I hate whiskey.
That was in Scar for Life, then.
Yeah. Margot Kidder. Oh, yeah.
So that was the first. Was that a horror film? That was just a naked film?
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's classed as a horror film, isn't it, I suppose? Yeah, because he has regression about being reincarnated, and he goes to the town in his dreams and starts dating his daughter that would have been his daughter from when he was previously alive. So it's a bit weird, a bit twisted.
Right. It's good though.
It's a cracking film, yeah.
Oh, well, I've only just started watching all of the Hammer stuff now. I've got the Ultimate Hammer box set or something. We've been watching one every night, and then I've got the Universal set to watch afterwards. So it's quite different. Watching things that a film so long ago, I had to get in that kind of mindset to watch those kinds of films, because the acting's obviously very different, the effects and everything. And once I had like a couple of days of watching them, I was like sucked in. Now I'm just happy to sit and watch them.
Yeah, because I haven't shown, my kids haven't seen any Hammer films, I don't think, which is a bit sad, but I don't know how they would take it now. It's a shame, because obviously we were watching them when we were little, but obviously it's a different time now, so
filmmaking is very different. But I love that kind of old school style. I like the kind of studio systems, and I don't know, it seems like they were like churning them out, aren't they, one after another?
Yeah, definitely.
It's certainly a bygone era, that, isn't it?
Yeah. So what gave you the idea then for the book? Obviously you two have been friends for a long time. How did you meet?
Hadyn was a... Go on, sorry, go on.
No, I was a projectionist at Canon Brentwood. I was trainee projectionist, and then they said, "Oh, do you want to move over to Canon Basildon?" Because obviously that was nearer to where I live. So I was like, "Yeah, okay." So I moved over there as a trainee projectionist, and then that's where I met Phil. Phil and a few others were all working downstairs as ushers, we call it.
Yeah, ushers. Yeah, selling the ice cream. Used to be at Waistcoat and Dickie Bow, going to the screens, sell the ice creams and the sweets, and that. It was brilliant. Made a fortune because my maths was rubbish.
Well, I think I was speaking to Spencer about Lumiere, so the new cinema in Romford, and he was saying about having ushers, bringing ushers back, or usherettes, which I think is really cool, because that's going to be like a real 1920s kind of feel, I think, is what he was going for the cinema. So yeah, I'd be excited to come back when all that's in place.
Yeah, it sounds like we're talking about the bloody 60s or something, doesn't it? But no, this must have been early 90s. But yeah, and then we just became mates, and still mates now. But
and then we opened up UCI Basildon. We was there for a number of years.
1998.
1998 opened that cinema up, and then we were both projectionists up there, weren't we, for a number of years. Had a cracking time.
Well, a lot of great memories from them as well. Yeah.
And so then what made you decide to write the book then?
Well, I was originally going to do a website. This was like late 90s. I think it must be 1999, 2000. I was going to do a slasher website, and I thought, and I started buying videos, and I think it was still video then, some DVDs. And then I noticed there was a website called Hysteria Lives by Justin Kurzweil. Them guys are still going now. And I saw the website, and I thought, this is exactly what I was going to do, like body count and stuff like that. And I just thought, oh, well, I can't compete with this. So, plus I wasn't that up on creating my own website and things like that. So that was that until 2013, when Phil had the idea for the book.
And it's going to be a big book. That's the problem. It's taken us this long to find everything, review everything. I mean, like Hay said earlier, it's been a great journey, but it's taken a lot of time and a lot of hours to sit through.
Yeah, because we both we've got full-time jobs and families and stuff like that. So
have you had to basically, like, you know, watch a film and then do that review like then and there? Because obviously otherwise you're watching so many, you'd forget if you didn't do it as you went along.
Yeah, take notes, and obviously, because in the book we've got like a minute by minute breakdown of every kill, and we've got male and female nudity, and not just that, just like funny something. If something stupid or silly happens in the film, we put it in the countdown as well. If like a dummy flies out the window, we've got that on there and things like that.
Trivia tracks, exactly. Just bonkers stuff. So you can flick through. You're watching a film. Oh, watch that. You can flick through to, I don't know, page 1028. Find the film. And look at the runtime and look at the minute by minute, and you go, oh, this one looks quite good. It's got a lot of what I'm looking for in it. Do you know what I mean? And the reviews would be honest. And some would be shorter because some are like short films, and some hardly anyone's ever seen, to be fair.
Right. I think it's a good way for people, like if somebody is a fan of of the slasher as a genre to have the book and then obviously discover slashers that they've never heard of before just by going through the book. They could use it as kind of like a catalogue to like then go and watch more movies.
Well, imagine if he was 14 or 15 picking this book up and wanting to see gore and boobs, for example. You'd be like, oh, I'm going to get this one, I'm going to get that one, I'm going to watch this one. You know what I mean?
And how is it laid out? Is it alphabetical, or is it year by year, or is there a bit in the back where you can be like, I specifically want boobs, it's going to take you to that section, like the ones with lots of boobs? Or
it's not a bad idea.
How
yeah, I can figure that.
How is it going to be laid out, the book?
It's sort of decades at the moment. I don't know how. Obviously, we'll have to speak to the publisher, but at the moment, it's sort of like 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and then it's alphabetical within the decade. So
what's the first slasher movie then? The 1922 slasher.
That is. I'm trying to think.
D.W. Griffith, one exciting night.
That's it. Fields on the Ball,
AKA The Haunted House.
Yeah, so it's obviously D.W. Griffith is a really famous filmmaker who did Intolerance and a lot of other films that people don't like anymore because they're a bit racist. But one of his first films was like an old dark house mystery sort of thing. But it's not, obviously, when you watch that film, it's not The Burning, Friday the 13th, My Bloody Valentine, but it's got a lot of the tropes in it that would reappear in the 80s. Like there's a guy, the camera follows one guy and he's sort of like, no, oh, it's you sort of thing. And obviously the audience don't know who the killer is and he just gets stabbed.
Which is your textbook POV murder mystery. And he's also clad in like a scarf and a cloak to disguise himself.
Yeah.
So that's like loads of ticks in the box for that one.
Yeah, that's something that happens in Friday the 13th in 1980. So, and then that was 1922.
Kind of creating that recipe then all those years ago.
Yeah.
Is it a silent movie? Was it a silent movie? Because,
Yeah.
I don't know. When did the talking start? The talkies? That was a little bit later, wasn't it?
Yeah, early 30s.
I'm
not sure what the first 30s film we've got in there is, but... Yeah,
no, I can't remember myself. But the next one after that will be The Bat, which is a guy with a bat mask going around killing them off one by one.
Yeah, he's after some money in a house.
That's not the Vincent Price one.
Yeah, no, that is the remake of that. Yeah.
Oh, it's so the Vincent Price one was a remake.
Yeah.
Ah, I didn't realise it was a slasher movie. I haven't actually seen it. When I'm scrolling through the apps trying to find something to watch, it is one that I've kind of marked to watch, but once I finished my box set, it was good.
Even one.
I was going to watch the Vincent Price one.
There's even a Lauren Hardy one that our chum Alan Friswell told us about, but I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
That was Oliver the Eighth.
I feel like one of them's from up here. There's I'm sure there's somewhere around. There's like Laurel and Hardy statues up here or something. I'm sure. I don't know where. Don't quite know where. Yeah. That's like a really rubbish story because I actually don't know the story I'm trying to tell you. But I'm sure one of them has got links. With,
that's a fine mess you've dropped us into.
Yeah. No, links with like Whitley Bay or something. I'm not sure. Somebody will know. I'll do a Google in the break. Like, what's the link from Laurel and Hardy? I'm sure something.
So as we go along, then we go into like the Crimmy phase, which is the German crime film, and they're based on Edgar Wallace, who's a British author. They're like whodunits, and some of them are inheritance murders, but there's a lot of titles like Phantom of Soho, some German titles that I think I've got Der Grand Bogenschütz, which is the Green Archer. So it's a Green Archer guy going around with an arrow killing people. Zimmer 13, which is...
That's good, yeah.
Yeah, ladies that work in a nightclub getting picked off one by one. Das Gasthaus an der Thames, which is the inn on the river, which is a scuba diver killer knocking about. And obviously there's an Amsterdam from 1988, which has got a very similar themed killer in it. So, but they spanned from 1916 silent films up to, I think, was it the 60s, I want to say, late 60s? The Creamy would finish, possibly.
Oh, well, sort of early 70s, I think. And then in the early 70s, they sort of it merged into the giallo because you have what they've done to Solange, which has got produced this co-production between Germany and Italy. So it is a sort of, and I think it's got I can't remember
apparently
his name.
Based on an Edgar Wallace book, wasn't it? I believe, was it that one?
Yeah, it's got Blackie Fuchsberger, is it? I think he's in that. Who's done a lot of the crimi. So yeah, you got like the crossover crimi giallo there going on as well. So early 70s.
And
So,
obviously
yeah.
we've covered all these and tracked them all down. And I would say with the 80s slashers, I think the gialli would definitely tie in of my favourites. The sleazier, the gorier, the better.
Yeah.
Oh, you like
the older ones?
I mean, it's not always needed. Don't get me wrong. You know, some films like look at Scream, for example. You know, they're just stabbing. There's a few tropes in there, but it's done very well. You know, it's when the other films, some people make them, and it's like we're harking back to the 80s, so we're going to do this, and it's like, yeah, but you haven't. You've missed loads of tropes out. Why bother? Oh, we can't do that because that's not where we are these days. Yeah, but you're going back to the 80s, so you can't really say and do that. It's a bit frustrating because a lot of these films are fundamentally great, but they're just missing these key bits that would make them even better.
Have you seen the new Final Destination yet?
No, I've not seen that yet.
I'm going to go on Monday, I think.
Yeah, I was going to see it tomorrow, but I'm seeing Mission Impossible, so it's going to be next week now.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go on Monday. So
it's been getting a lot of good reviews.
Yeah, I've seen that, but I do I love, because I'm always one. I don't know how you feel about remakes, but I always say I hate a remake, but I love it when they kind of come back, 10 years later with the same kind of vibe. Like obviously they're bringing what we did last summer back with some of the original cast, and they did the same with Scream, and I love that because obviously for somebody who's loved those films originally, it's not kind of taking anything away from them, it's just kind of adding new. But I much prefer that to a remake. So
I think this ties into the other films. I haven't seen it yet, but there's a couple of bits on the trailer. I think when she's flicking through a book, some scrapbook she's got, I think you can see bits from 1 and 2. The logs in 2. The logs go through the car, and I think there's something in there.
I can't drive behind like a lorry that's carrying like logs or poles or anything. And I think most people are like that. Can you drive behind one? I have to get in another lane.
I cycle beyond it.
You cycle?
Yeah, I don't drive. Phil does. I just cycle.
I'd be cycling in another lane.
I think isn't there a motorbike guy that dies in part 2 as well? So I'd be him going underneath the bloody blowing up of the truck.
Was that in part 2 or was that in one of the newer ones? I'm sure there's something in one of the newer ones. I'm not sure.
Don't know. Can't remember.
I'm not sure.
No, last time I saw one was quite a while ago. I think when they first came out, we saw them. I don't think I've revisited them since, to be fair.
I watched them all recently.
Oh, did you? Yeah, I might watch it before I watch the last or the new one.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's Tony Todd's final appearance, isn't it? I think.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd done anything, so that will be sad. And apparently, they told him to go off script and kind of give a message, and he did. So.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
It looks quite cool, but I think it'll be quite a moving moment. I think in that.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, and it's nice that he's been in all the way through from the beginning.
I mean, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but unfortunately, it looks a bit very CGI heavy for my liking, and I'm not a fan of CGI, as everyone knows. I absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
I've seen some bits. I'm like,
the bit in the tower looks a bit.
Yeah, it's like the recent what's his face film. Havoc that just looked like a computer game.
Yeah, a lot of the streets and stuff.
Tom Hardy, yeah, it was awful. It wasn't no raid, put it that way.
You're very much for real effects, no CGI.
100%. Tarantino, definitely.
So is that with the gore and everything? So
I don't mind little splashes here and there, as long as it doesn't show out to me and you can see it, because to the trained eye, should I say, you can go, what's that? There's nothing like the 80s. That's what the effects in there were brilliant. There was true pioneers.
Yeah, it's a different talent though, isn't it? Because obviously the people who are doing the CGI are obviously very talented at that, but then it's kind of taken away from the people who could be doing it in other ways.
Yeah, I think marrying the both does work. It certainly does.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see that.
But when you're saying about remakes and
almost out of time,
that,
for part one. We've been chatting for nearly half an hour already, so I'm going to give you a little break. I know, I'm going to give you a little break, and then we'll be back very shortly for part two.
Welcome back to the Screen Princess podcast.
Welcome back to part two of the Screen Princess podcast. Did you guys have a good break?
Oh,
very good. we watched a film in a break.
Yeah, it was lovely.
A very short one, 10-minute
film. Very short slasher film, yeah. I mean,
I actually had my mum was here last week, and she actually slept in this room. So this is a sofa bed, and she was like, "Oh, there's a skeleton," and then she's like, "Oh, and over there, there's a skeleton of a vulture," and I was like, "Yeah, it's random in here."
And there's a tombstone on the wall.
There is a tombstone on the wall, but there's also a coffin in the living room. Nice, so that's kind of made out into. Yeah, I found it actually where I used to live. It was in the bin room, and I was like, "Oh, I'll have that."
What, an actual coffin?
It's obviously like a theatre prop or something. It's like a real, like vampire coffin-shaped coffin, like a coffin-shaped coffin. So I sprayed it, but I'm going to give it a revamp this year. I think we're going to
no pun intended.
Pimp my coffin. Because it needs a fresh coat of paint.
Bling it up.
When I moved, it lived in my friend's garage for a year, so it needs sorting. But I actually use it for my photography backdrops, and it used to store my knitting. So when people ask me what was in my coffin, they never really guess those things.
Wool.
Yeah. Wool, yeah, wool and knitting needles, but they are now in the loft because I very rarely pick up wool and knitting needles. So back to the book then, guys. When you were, deciding to write a book, what made you go down the slasher route as opposed to any other horror subgenres?
Fundamentally, I don't think there's been one like this, that's for sure. Not to cover we hope every slasher film. We started with a few bits, and we just thought, why don't we do everything? Well, let's just try, track down everything. We've got films from all over the world. All over the world. Any place you can think of, we've got a film. Even if it's shot on a phone or a really bad quality VHS tape, we've managed to get it. A lot of people have been amazing, like sending us stuff and letting us access their films that probably no one's ever seen before, apart from us.
Yeah.
And all
maybe
of
when
it
they read the book, they may regret it.
But it's all going to be. So how, how do you know you didn't miss stuff? Like, obviously, how do you go about sourcing all of these films?
Because that's the thing. When we started it, we didn't realise how big it was going to be. Obviously, we've got short films in the book as well. We've got fan films, which was a bit of a because there's like a billion fan films. So, but we like to think we've got the most important ones in the book.
Right.
But
yeah, we even started the porn parodies, and we had to stop them as well.
Yeah,
because there are a few.
There is some in the book. There's porn parodies in the book. If there's like a bit of a plot and people are getting killed in between the sex stuff, then it's in the book. But there's a few of them. It's just like, you've not even tried it. It's just sex. So they've not made the cut. But
you enjoyed watching them all the same.
Well, there's some gay porn films in there, which Phil had to watch. No, but I'd say there's almost about 200 films that we couldn't get. That includes, there's shorts in there as well. But there's a few directors that we got in touch with, and we said, "Oh, can we see this?" Because we found it on IMDb or something, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, it's terrible, but I'll send you it." And it's like, okay, and then you just never hear from them again.
And we've had issues, didn't we, where they've found God, or become religious, and they've said no one's ever going to see that ever again. And it's like,
right.
That's
there's a really good. There was a film called The Sugar Creek Killer. It's got Tiffany Shepard in. There was a trailer. This is how old it goes back. There was a trailer on MySpace, and it looked really good. It looked good,
right.
and we tried to track it down, and the producers actually literally did find God, and it was like, yeah, we're not into that stuff anymore, and it's just not being released. You can't get it, and it's a shame because it did look good as well.
Imagine that, making a horror film and then finding God and then deciding that film's disappearing. I mean, I've done films that have never seen the light of day, like obviously not when I produced, but films that I've been in like early on that, you know, it was all shot and in the can and then just never made it through the edit. So it's frustrating for everybody involved as well. I'm sure the cast and the crew of that would have liked to have seen
definitely
fruits of their labour too.
And this wasn't one occasion. I think we've had a few occasions of similar stories.
Yeah. And there's a guy that worked on Sugar Creek Killer. I don't think he's the director. I think he might even be the killer in it. But he's directed like 3 or 4 slashers, and only I don't even know if any of them have been released. One of them we did track down from one of the stars and writers. The other stuff, there's trailers out there for them, and they look alright, but you just can't see them.
I think he's continuously finding God.
Yeah.
People need to stop doing that if they're going to.
This is maybe how he funds the films. You know, he's like, oh yeah, I found God. I need to make like Ed Wood used to do. You know, say that he's making a film about the church or what have you, and that's how he's given money sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's sneaky, but I like it. So how do you define the slasher genre, and how has it kind of changed over the years? Because obviously you've got all of the decades in the book, but you know, how do you define? Is there like a recipe for a slasher film?
Definitely,
There's like certain things that has to happen.
Yeah, you have to. I think you don't have to have all these things, but you know, like summer camp or a high school or a whodunit element or a masked killer. I don't know what else, Phil.
There's like revenge stories from back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think it's a killer with abandonment issues and some kind of
revenge. Yeah.
Bullying or a long ago wrong that's being avenged or something like that.
And hopefully not just one weapon, like a gun. That's really hard to. We have put films in with revolvers and stuff, but it is one it's got to go in, but it's very same as the supernatural element, because they're not just. Some are really walk the fine line of are they or aren't they? Like things like Chucky's not in there because it's a killer doll.
Yeah, people might.
It does slash.
It does. That's the thing. I think there's going to be some controversial omissions in the book, but
we're getting out of there now.
Yeah, it's like people think Predator and Alien are horror slasher films. It's like, they're more like sci-fi horror or a monster film or something like that. I don't know.
100%.
Yeah, I'd agree with them. I don't know why in my mind I would think Chucky is a slasher, but I think because he's like a doll that comes to life.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
he does talk and he walks and talks, but at the end of the day,
you could say that with Megan. You could say that, you could say that with the boy. There's a lot of ones that we couldn't.
I haven't seen Megan.
We couldn't good conscious. Oh really? Yeah, brilliant. The boys, I thought it was really good.
My friend Megan actually really looks like the Megan doll as well. I feel like if they did a live one, she could play her. She does. She's got like the long blonde hair and like she does. She does.
Don't tell Graham Lloyd.
Yeah, because you can get a life-size one there from from Film Treasures or Treasure Films.
Yeah.
Can you?
I keep changing that. Yeah, it's just come out. Yeah.
Amazing.
But going back, I think you can have like a slasher film set at a summer camp and have the killer not have a mask. You know who it is. There's no whodunit element. A little, mix it up like that. But I think it has to have a certain amount of stuff in it. Ingredients.
Because obviously after Friday Part 2, we knew who the killer was. So the whodunit element was gone, but however, he was a masked killer at a summer camp, picking off the teens one by one, and that was the the age-old formula that we love. You know, that's what we grew up on, Friday the 13th and Halloween and stuff like that. Especially the Golden Age. The Golden Age probably had the best films in it.
No,
Do
100%
you
for
think
me.
is that the 80s?
Yeah.
Yes. So we go from Halloween
Yeah.
to what I'd say about what,
Right.
84 maybe.
Yeah, 78 to 84. Yeah. The best, I think.
Right.
The bygone
But then these
years.
are films like why do you think some of the franchises like are still going? Because obviously they're still bringing out Halloween films, and they've remade stuff, and they've Friday the 13th, and I don't know, have they done a not a remake but a reboot of it, or I don't know,
They're doing
only
Friday
things like talking.
They're doing I think it's called Crystal Lake, and it's a Peacock TV show about Mrs. Voorhees, if memory serves. That should be out soon.
Yeah, that's a lot of
Why
legal
do you think
trouble.
these ones are still going? Like, why do people love these franchises so much? Obviously, we've got Final Destination again coming back. Scream came back, and we've got I Know What You Did Last Summer. Some are coming back, and I know they're like the 90s ones, but people are still kind of rushing to see them. They're really excited for them all. So what do you think?
I mean, Scream done gangbusters at the box office. Absolutely massive. Yeah, it was like 200 million or something like it. It was something crazy. Yeah. And obviously the Jenny Ortega and the I can't remember the other actress's name. They're all in a bit pear-shaped, in it. So they've had to pretty much start again, I guess.
Melissa.
Although I would say when Scream did come out, the first one, I remember seeing it at Cannon. We worked at Cannon, and it was quite offensive to see the new thriller from Wes Craven. Should have been the new slasher from Wes Craven, but hey, what are you going to do?
Plus, I think people grow up with these films, don't they?
Yeah.
So when that Scream came out, you'd had like 20 years of kids watching these films on video and then DVD, and it's the same with Halloween and Friday the 13th. The kids watch them when they're young and they love them, and then when they get to like old 50-year-old blokes like us, we still love them as well. So
And how do you think the slasher films changed over the decades?
Yeah,
they're a lot politically correct now than they were. But
you took the words right out of my mouth. Definitely, yeah. That's one of the main things.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, when you watch something like Terrifier films, it's just so the violence is just hideous. It's just like I watched the last Terrifier at the Cineworld Basildon, and I just sat there thinking, it's just weird watching this level of violence in the cinema now. You would not have got that in the 80s. It would have been cut by about 20 minutes if it had even been released at all.
Yeah, probably wouldn't have been, would it?
Crazy, yeah.
Because obviously we grew up through the nasties era, so a lot of these films you couldn't see anyway. But I know there was always cut.
Then you watch those now, and they're nothing, are they? If you watch a video nasty now. Like, why was that banned? Some of them are hardly offensive at all, are they?
And all the Friday films were all cut, and you watch them now, and it's just like, even if you saw them all uncut now, they'd be so tame. But times changed, don't they? I suppose.
Yeah, I think sort of people want more, and you have to keep giving more, don't you? And I think that's with a lot of the gore, because I like a little bit of gore, like a bit of blood, but I'm not into the real kind of torture stuff. But I know they have to keep kind of pushing the boundaries further and further to kind of keep people interested. And then I wonder, what will happen next, because where does that end?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like Hayden said, with the political correctness, I think also it's just stick to that formula. Don't try and reinvent the wheel, because that's what got you there in the first place. Let's stick on that road. I know people have tried. We've seen loads of films where they try and put a twist on it. It's like, and they just throw it away, and it is a shame.
Yeah,
but it's good. I mean, you've got things like Happy Death Day and Totally Killer, which I really enjoyed those two.
Yeah,
100%. I like them as well.
But I mean, if you've got the talent and you can create suspense and scares, and you can just make a good slasher film and just not have
you haven't got all the tropes in it
of time travel subplot. You don't need that. If you just as different as that is, just create a great film. And
I think with Totally Killer, with a nod to the audience, going back to the 80s when she was talking to some of the people in the 80s. You know, it was brilliant. That like them talking about how it is now, and it was really clever.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I watched
that's how
another
some of
one
us feel.
recently that was similar. I can't think what it was called though.
Yeah, it was on Netflix, was it?
Yeah, what was it?
I think so. And it was a girl, there was a time machine, and the girl goes back in time to save her sister, and I really like that as well. But I do feel like there's been this resurgence of like 90s-esque stuff, hasn't there? Like obviously with Stranger Things coming out, and then I feel like a lot of films, and all the Fear Street film trilogy, it's all kind of.
Well, there's a new one coming out Friday. Sorry,
is it Saturday?
Where
is it?
23rd.
Friday. Okay, is it going to be cinema or on?
No,
is it going to
Netflix.
Netflix. Well, that's that
Prom Queen. Yeah,
it's a slasher as well, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I'm excited about that one. I actually loved all three of those, but I remember reading the Fear Street books as well, and I actually don't read horror. Like I can read, I read like crime thrillers and stuff, but I can't read like pure horror now because you can't just turn it off, can you? You've got to keep reading. So then, and it takes longer than 90 minutes to read a book. So I can watch horror film, and then at the end, like I know the killer's been caught and everything's safe. But with a book, I get too scared. But I do remember, like as a teen reading like the Point Horror and the Fear Street books and loving them back then. I was braver then.
That's the plot of I'm Mad Men from the 80s. That is.
Yeah.
Hardcover, okay, hardcover. Yeah. The killer comes out. It's not bad actually. Yeah.
That's not in our books. That's a little bit. There is a masked sort of killer in that, but it's a bit. It goes off on a sort of fantastical tangent.
Yeah.
A bit.
Yeah.
It's good though. Good little film.
Yeah. But going back to the book. Sorry, go on, Danny.
I was going to say, obviously, things have changed as well, like sort of how the world has changed. Like now, you've always got to write a reason why there's no phones. Why can't they just phone somebody? Like,
exactly. Yeah.
You know, back in the 80s, you had to go to a house to get to a phone, whereas now it's like, oh, we've got no signal, all the phones have been taken, and it's like, but you have to have it because otherwise people would be like, why don't they just phone? So obviously, there's that. So elements of just things in life that are different, but also like the effects and things like it's so much more CGI and what have you now.
Yeah, but yeah, with the phone thing, I think that's probably why they've started sending them back in time so they can't use a phone.
yeah. Definitely, yeah.
However, they were both great films, so it was a good twist, and because even like TV shows, they've had a Scream TV show, they had Scream Queens, they were all great as well.
So I didn't really like Scream Queens. I think I might need to rewatch it. I think because it was like too silly comedy, like the characters.
I wasn't a fan of that. But
it's too much. I think I wanted it to be more like Scream. I wanted you know, where there's comedy, but it's not like the acting's still good. Like it was still like I still believe the characters, whereas like Scream Queens are kind of all like over the top.
Did you see the Slasher show, the Slasher series? It's just called Slasher. That was good.
I think I can't really remember. I think I did. I think I liked it.
I think season 2 was the best. Set in the snow, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one. I didn't see season 2.
It's really
it's good.
And it's really gory because I think it was Canadian, so they can get away with a bit more.
Right.
Don't quote me on that.
It's another one to look at. So what are your personal favourites and what are your favourite slasher movies?
Some of the usual, like Halloween, etc., Friday the 13th, you know, probably My Bloody Valentine. I mean, there is a lot, to be fair. I couldn't really nail down one.
Mine, I'd say My Bloody Valentine, The Prowler, I really love. There's some quite dull moments in The Prowler, but I can overlook them because everything else is great. The gore effects and the music and Happy Birthday to Me, The Burning. I was going
to mention Happy Birthday to Me. We was talking about the other films because we've seen films that are over 2 hours long, and it's like, director, no, cut your films down. You've got to be a nice tight 90 minutes or 88 minutes, you know. And I think Happy Birthday to Me proves that because it's quite a long film. Happy Birthday to Me. It does go a little bit, it's a bit stale in the middle, but then it comes back. So. You know, they've got to stick to this formula. Do not deviate with a 3-hour opus because it's absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah, it is. Unless it's like, I don't know, like Top Gun too. Like that was okay to be a bit longer. But yeah, no, I think and also keeping people's attention spans now, because people are on their phone all the time and you're like scrolling through TikTok and you're scrolling through reels and things, like it's hard to keep someone's attention for a long time now, whereas people used to, they didn't have that, so they'd watch a film and they'd sit and watch the whole thing. Now they'll be like, I'll just pick up the phone and they'll be doing other stuff. So I think like anything longer than 90 minutes, it's got to be
exactly like
amazing to keep your attention for longer than that.
It's popcorn trash. You're going out to have a laugh. You know, a lot of people just immediately forget the horror film, forget the slasher film. You know, at the end of the day, they were made for like teenage boys back in the day, or couples. You know.
Yeah.
And that's I think some of the low budget filmmakers are sort of too in love with their films sometimes, and they can't.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that bit. I can't cut that. And it's like, well, hang on, your film's 2 hours long. You need to sort of get rid of half an hour.
It's like him walking down the street for 35 minutes.
Yeah.
I think as well with like some of the low budget filmmakers, they will have written their own script, they will have directed their own script, and they're going to be editing their own film. And it's like, you know, if they'd bought the script from somebody else, they wouldn't mind so much taking bits out. And if they, and also like when they've got actors, then they've got people in that they've probably been paid very little or nothing at all sometimes, and it's like they don't want to cut their bits out and they feel bad. So I really think like directors or whatever, they should always hand the edit over to an external editor that's kind of outside it, because then they take, you know,
they need to cut the apron strings.
They need to kind of be a little bit harsher.
Whenever we went to review a film and it was like 105 to 2 hours long, 120 minutes, whatever, and then it says edited and directed by, I always think, oh God, right, that's why 2 hours.
They're too kind of married to their original idea, and they don't realize that actually a lot of stuff is probably bumped. Like I've watched films and I've gone, well, even films that I've been in, and I'm like, well, that could have come out, that could have come out, that could have come out, because it doesn't really need to be in there for the story. It's just giving that, you know, actor or something a little bit more to do, which is not, that's not the point.
No, exactly.
Part of the story and the plot.
Going back to the best slasher films, you know, your favourites, even Scream. I remember seeing that at the cinema and just like absolutely falling in love with it. And even subsequent ones have all been great, because when the second wave happened after Scream, it was just like, oh, this is fantastic. We've got another wave of great movies.
Because I was kind of like finishing high school, so I was like in my like last years at high school when Scream came out. So obviously they were like high school kids, and obviously in America they stay at school longer than we do, but I was like kind of that sort of end of high school age. And then when they came back and it was like 10 years later, it's like, you know, I was 10 years older too, and it was like, you really, and I think the same with American Pie as well. I felt like and it had everything in it that you wanted it to be, like everything that needed to be in it, you know, it was. So I was super excited. Like I would have hated for it to come back, like to bring Scream back in it not to be as good. But you know, if they're going to bring it back, they have to make it great.
Yeah.
Like, what did you think of Beetlejuice? Not a slasher, but
what, the new one?
Beetlejuice?
Loved it.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just brilliant.
Brilliant. Anyone who was like bad reviews, I was like, well, what did they want it to be? Like, had they seen the first one? Like, I thought it was great. It was fun, and I'm excited about Beetlejuice.
That's what I've got up here.
It felt like the first one as well, which is a good thing. There he is.
Yeah.
There he is, look.
Yeah, there he is. There he is. I've got my favorite pillow.
Mr. Beetle, guys.
I love it. It's always been one of my favourites. I watch it every Halloween. It's like one of my Halloween ritual. I always watch Hocus Pocus, Trick or Treat, and Beetlejuice. That's my Halloween trilogy for my daytime.
Nice, yeah.
Is that Trick or Treat or Trick or Treat?
Trick or Treat. The anthology one with Suki from Anna Paquin.
Trick or Treat's good as well. It's heavy metal horror. It's quality.
Is it? I haven't seen that one. I'll go on the list.
Yeah.
A little bit of a heavy metal horror. I liked. Did you ever see Suck? That was like rock bands and horror. Suck had like Alice Cooper and Iggy Pop was in it. It's like a rock star film. It's quite good. Suck.
Okay.
That's a slasher genre. That's a slasher genre on its own.
Oh yeah.
Heavy metal horror. Oh my word!
You like that subgenre, don't you, Phil? Was it heavy? There's heavy metal horror, terror,
Heavy Metal Massacre. Yeah.
Dead Girls.
Yeah. There's
else?
another one. What's that? Rocktober Blood.
Yeah.
Blood Tracks.
Yeah.
There is some crap out there. I mean, heavy metal horror is god awful. It's obvious. I'm talking. It's camcorder. We've shown the trailer at one of our nights, and it's just gone down the storm. I don't think we showed it. I think Black Roses, but it's not a slasher film. But there's a lot out there.
So tell me a bit about your nights, because I actually never made it to one. Despite when I lived in London, it was like I was only an hour away, but. You do the double bills, which I love because that's like, you know, how they used to screen things as double bills. So you do a monthly double bill horror event. And do you know what I love about them is you always theme it well. Like it'll be like gym horror with, you know, something else. They always have a theme. So how did that come about?
I think we knew Paul was doing it years ago, and we reached out and just said, how'd you fancy us putting a couple of films on to see how it goes, really?
Yeah. Because Paul Cockgrove, who does the Hornsey Film Festival, which is, I think, is that where we met, Danny? I think it might have been.
It must have been, many years ago.
So we're great mates with Paul, and he used to do a cult night, and then he just turned around and said, "Oh, why don't you two do it in conjunction with the book?" So we started doing it, and it was just slashers, wasn't it? I think for the first year or something. And well, it still is, but. Now we've spread out a bit more and do. I mean, we
proper cult night it up.
Yeah, we did Reformed Schoolgirls and Faster Pussycat Kill last month.
Right.
So yeah, once a month we put on a double bill. Phil cuts all the trailers and does all the artwork and does most of it, to be honest. Now recently, but and then we just put a couple of films in every month. At the old waterworks in Westcliff-on-Sea.
The trashier, the better. It's nothing like everyone sitting together just laughing. Like the best one we've had is probably Champagne and Bullets, which, oh my god, we've got to show again because it was that bad, and a lot of people couldn't make it. So it's going to be like a Christmas gift at some point. We're going to show it again.
Yeah, because I had to leave halfway through that as well.
It was on with American
USA. No, Action USA.
Action USA, which was absolutely bonkers as well.
That's good as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, really good films.
But yeah, absolutely hilarious.
Films? What are the worst films? Or what films do you not like that everybody else likes? Have you got any that you're like, everyone seems to love and you're like, you don't get it?
I've got particular distaste of certain things, but I'll keep them to myself. But
like what? What clown films?
Yeah, do you not like clowns?
No, he just like clown slashers. It's not because he's scared. He just thinks they're shit. But
yeah, pretty much. I think they're lazy filmmaking. Like everyone thinks it's a different take. Even Terrifier bore the shit out of me.
I think, however, to be honest, I'm more if it's a good slasher film and the killer's dressed up as a clown, then so be it. But
no, I get that. Yeah, but I think what it is we've seen so many bad ones. Yeah. Bobo the Clown Part 1 to fucking 8. It's like, oh my god.
Sorry, Blaze, if you're listening. No, he sent us some of them films. So he's a good guy from Canada, but he made loads of crappy shorts called Bobo.
Right.
And I had to sit. Did you sit for them? No, I had to. I've been tarnished with this.
No, I've seen about 20 of them, I
think. Are you talking about genres, Danny, or just any films in general that you can't really?
Just films. Just films.
Not really. I mean, I think we've got personal taste, but I think we like pretty much most things, as long as it, like Hadyn said, grabs you. Don't care what it is, really.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how are we going to get hands on this book? Like, do you have a publisher already? Are you just doing the edits at the moment and then it's going to be released, or are you still looking for a publisher? Or
we have got a publisher we have got a publisher. We can't say yet, just in case, but it's in a queue. Put it that way, because it's going to be quite a big book. It's going to be huge.
Yeah. It may have to be crowdfunded, but we don't say more than that. But because it's going to be such a big thing. It might even be in 2 parts. So
I was thinking it's like 100 years. It could be 50 and 50, I guess.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's going to go from the 20s to 79 or 20s to 89, and then the rest in another book. I don't know, but we'll have to see.
Yeah.
But we've got a lot of good input.
I mean, I love the idea of it being one, so it's literally just like a Bible of everything you need, like horror Bible or slasher Bible.
And there's going to be cool things in it, like like machete bookmarks and little bits of that come with the package when you
fun stuff as well.
Yeah, for the perks for the crowdfunder, little things like that.
Because throughout the book, it might go from 1922 to nowadays. Well, not nowadays. It's sort of up to date, but in the back of the book, there's a exhaustive list of stuff that's come out since we've stopped.
Right.
So that's so continually added.
Sort of 2018-ish, but I say that, but since 2018, we've added in the new Screams and Halloween and stuff like that.
The big hitters.
Sort of the big hitters, have gone in.
Yeah.
But there's been so many low budget films since 2018 that we just can't. If we wanted to put them in, the book would never ever come out. So
we had to draw a line. You got Popeye the Sleigh Man, stuff like that. It's continually coming out every week. You see something pop up. So that's in it. Then there's unreleased stuff that Hadyn done an exhaustive investigation to find out, stuff that didn't come out that was promised. Then there was lost slashers that we can't find.
Didn't get made, unmade slashers and lost slashers. They're all in the same sort of appendix. So
it's and all throughout the book, there's splatterings of input from genre specialists. We've got like Jack Shoulder, who directed Alone in the Dark from 1982, the slasher film, and he done Elm Street 2. Like he's a heavyweight director. We've got your mate Debbie Rochon. She's done an input. We've got Adam Marcus, who done Jason Goes to Hell. Felicia Rose, the original Angela from Sleepaway Camp. And we are waiting for a few other big ones as well. And one of them we might be able to get a perk from as well, which would be absolutely, if we can get that, it'd be brilliant to do. And Kim Newman as well, who's done a really long spread on the literature of the slasher film, going back to Agatha Christie and stuff like that. And it's brilliant what he's done as well.
Yeah, it's great.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys for coming on the show. We are out
no
of
worries,
time
enjoyed
now.
it.
Right.
Always fun chatting to you. And
I have to say, Dan, you've got 5 films in the book as well.
Yes, you got to mention them.
5 films.
Yeah.
And is there any on the list of the ones that didn't get made? Because I think when you look at my IMDb, there's like quite a few there that got added.
I think you've done about 6 others since that we haven't had time to put in, but no, there's all like Christmas Sleigh and Harvest of the Dead there and stuff like that.
Right, okay. Well, I can't wait to read it. Hopefully we'll be able to buy it by next year at Horror on Sea, or do you think?
Yeah, hopefully.
That would be good,
yeah, that would be the plan.
That would be good. Well, actually, before that, Christmas presents.
Yeah.
You might need to you might need to reinforce your floor or your table because it's going to be big.
Yeah. Hopefully before
I can sit on the coffin table.
Yeah, you could do, yeah.
Well, thank you both, and hopefully I'll see you both soon at something.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks a lot.
No worries. Thank you.